Alright, so that's the movie synopsis. I gotta speed this up because Mia's sick and I wanna stop bothering her. Is X-Men Origins Wolverine objectively the worst movie of all time? No. Because that's not possible. That's a fake statement. Movies are art. They're subjective. They're not like, I don't know, toasters, where you put bread in it and it pops up and the bread is untoasted and you're like, that's a bad toaster. But there are certain things we can say about narrative films. For example, we can say that they need to entertain, they need to affect the audience, and they need to tell a story. This movie fails at all three of those. This film achieves absolutely nothing. Sabretooth and Wolverine's dynamic is not at all affected or informed for the later films, X-Men 1 and 2. Wolverine loses all of his memories in this film, so even the entire love relationship, which is based off of a weird fake lie that he's okay with at the end, makes no sense. It gets all erased from his brain. It disappears. And the only goal in this film ends up becoming stop Deadpool, right? Deadpool is kind of this like villain they throw in at the end where it's like, if we stop him, people will be safe. Except after the credits, there's a sequence when Deadpool picks up his own head, proving he's not dead. So the film even manages to undo its own climax. Look, Fantastic Four 2 is not a great film by any measure of imagination. In fact, it's so bad that Jessica Alba cried about it, but not on screen because the director said you should CGI tears on her face instead of actually crying, just look pretty. That actually happened. But the goal of Fantastic Four 2 is to get the Silver Surfer to stop Galactus from destroying the Earth. They do that. They achieve that. Even in Fantastic Four 2, there's a goal, and they meet it, and they do it, and it's great. This movie does nothing. Nothing happens at the end of this movie. The entire film plays out like a video game, where you have to fight a boss that's a helicopter for a while, and then there's a cinematic of like him driving to like the next boss where he just fights Blob, with the boxing gloves. Now, I should also say that I am an X-Men kid. See? I also love Buffy and Improbability. But first and foremost, I am an X-Men fan. I grew up on the X-Men. I collected the toys. I read essays that people write about X-Men and sexism. So I take this personally. You know how a lot of those like hardcore Star Wars geeks, when they saw the prequels, were like, this ruined my childhood. This is the worst movie ever made. Well, that's what X-Men Origins Wolverine does for me. To be equivalent, it would be like at the end of episode 3 if a doctor came in and went up to Vader and was like, by the way, Luke is definitely not your son. No matter what happens later in your timeline, Luke Skywalker, not your kid, we just did a blood test. You know the mitochondria midichlorian scene, the explanation that destroyed the Force apparently? That's every second of this film for me. This movie systematically went through and destroyed everything that I love about this character. How did Wolverine get his jacket? I don't know. Some guy. How did Wolverine get his claws? I don't know. Some guys. How did Wolverine lose his memories? I don't know. Some gun. Now, what separates this from movies like Indiana Jones 4, where it kind of goes against a franchise and ruins a character that people love, is that this story was literally written for them already. They went out of their way to make it into a bad film. Just pull a Zack Snyder and cut out the panels and that's your storyboard. And just do it. Don't think about it. Just be like, alright, that's the movie. Let's just shoot this thing that everyone likes. Now, I know X-Men 3 did a lot of damage to the X-Men franchise, but this was like waking up from a bad dream into a nightmare. It's like finding a spider in your shower and then walking out and seeing Venom sitting on your couch. Now, I love Hugh Jackman. I think he's a spectacular actor. In fact, maybe one of the best of our generation. And his take on Wolverine is so wonderful. But that's what makes the entire thing so painful, is to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine portrayed this badly. Now, I know if anyone from the studios is seeing this, they're going to be like, well, this guy's kind of a fanboy. Yeah, but I'm your target audience. I'm the guy you want to come to your movies and approve of them and say, like, I want more. I'm going to go see this a lot of times. I'm the kind of person that you don't want to offend. You're not aiming to people who watch only Grey's Anatomy. In fact, if you did a Venn diagram of X-Men and Grey's Anatomy, the only person who'd be in the middle is me. Or I guess technically Eric Dane. Now what separates this from other bad movies like, I don't know, Troll 2, is that Troll 2 is like enjoyable and funny and has funny little special effects. This movie is always trying to be a perfect blockbuster and is just constantly failing. And it's boring. But mostly if you're wondering, Omar, why do you say that this is the worst movie you've ever seen in your entire life? Well, I haven't seen Green Lantern, in all fairness. But most movies, when I do a review of them, I struggle to fill 5 minutes with synopsis and criticism. This, I had to force myself to squeeze criticism into a multi-part video series. Think on that. Anyhow, thank you so much for going on this weird, crazy X-Men Origins journey with me. What did you think of X-Men Origins Wolverine? Do you think I'm going a little too crazy? Do you think I'm criticizing it too much? Do you think I'm not going far enough? Go ahead and leave your comments and your video responses down below. Feel free to keep the communication going. Go ahead and call me out if I got any details wrong. That'd be hypocritical if I said don't do that. And Geek Rant, even though this became more of an episode of Omar will complain about everything, is part of a series called Wildcard Wednesdays, where we choose a card from a box to decide what next week's Wednesday video is going to be. But because we're going going on sort of a hiatus for the holidays, I'm not going to pick from that box. Also, Mia is sick, so I don't want to shake the box because that sound is just kind of loud. So we'll pick a card sometime in the new year when we get back to Wildcard Wednesdays, and we'll jump right back into that. Thank you so much for watching this and hearing my crazy feelings on X-Men Origins Wolverine, and I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. Bye.